Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
I feel really kind of annoyed right now. I feel like I've been tricked, deceived, and I'm not the only one who was tricked.
This is going to be a rather controversial video, and so I wanted to preface it by just stopping and taking a moment and talking to you. First of all, full disclosure, the face that you're looking at is the face of a man. It's the face of somebody named India Moore, who is transgender. And I did a commentary that included this person. You'll see the screen flashing back and forth between this individual portraying themselves as a woman, and this is kind of earlier in his transition. Now, I want to be very clear. The story of this man is very sad. This is a man that was put into the foster care system at a very young age. One of his foster parents was a transgender man as well, and that man gave the child, this young man, when he was just a little boy, was giving him hormones and encouraging him to embrace behaving like a woman and changing himself into a woman. And so obviously out of that environment, what we get is the actor that we have here named India Moore. Now, India Moore refers to be referred to as them or they, which is interesting, that duality there. But I want to be clear that I recognize this as a traumatized person. And so although I'm very upset, and I'm going to get into why I am upset and why I feel deceived later in this video, I want to also be clear that I recognize to some degree this person is a victim, because as a child they were exposed to behaviors and given medication, and likely he has a warped perception of reality. This is a child, a young boy, who was raped multiple times, who, after being exposed to getting hormone therapy by his transgender foster parent, another man who believed himself to be a woman, was pushed into prostitution, where he sold his body to multiple men so that he could get his hands on the drugs to maintain himself being female. The trauma that is not being treated here is so deep. And so while I make this commentary, while I make this commentary, I want to be clear that I recognize that. Now, there are a few things that I noticed as I was looking back into where he looked more masculine before he had done a lot of feminization and things like that, that this man, he's kind of taken on what resembles femininity, right? It resembles it by kind of keeping a pathetic face, a very wafy figure, very just droopy, and, I guess a male version of Come Hither. And so that's what we're seeing here. What we're seeing is a man who's changed himself enough. I don't know if he still has his penis or not, if that's been inverted yet, or what's going on with him. But I want to be clear that I feel that Calvin Klein ad is even more nefarious, and I feel like this ties into other things too. I feel like okay, so now we have two ambiguous men kissing. I'm sorry, y'all. And I want to tie this into the Gillette commercial too, where they have, again, a woman portraying a man.
Growing up, I was always trying to figure out what kind of man I wanted to become, and I'm still trying to figure out what kind of man that I want to become. I always knew I was different. I didn't know that there was a term for the type of person that I was. I went into my transition just wanting to be happy. I'm glad I'm at the point where I'm able to shave.
One. Now don't be scared. Don't be scared. Shaving is about being confident. Oh, you're doing fine. You are doing fine.
I'm at the point in my manhood where I'm actually happy. It's not just myself transitioning, it's everybody around me transitioning.
So the men being women, the women being men, y'all, it is just utter and total confusion. This is dangerous for heterosexual people. Now, this individual doesn't believe that him portraying a woman to gain the affections and attentions of heterosexual men is wrong. He actually thinks that this is okay. Let's get into it.
Hi, you guys. This is Irene, and I feel really kind of annoyed right now. I feel like I've been tricked, deceived. I feel like I never want to turn on another television again. I don't want to engage in any mass-produced programming again because the deception is high these days. So I did that whole commentary on the Calvin Klein ad. You guys know I don't watch TV. I'm not into media like that. So I was not aware that there was only one black woman portrayed in that commercial. So it turns out that the ambiguous woman is a man, y'all, named India Moore. And I'm not the only one who was tricked because no one in the comment sections mentioned that this person was a man except for one person. Everybody was commenting as if my commentary was spot on. And when I looked it up, sure enough, this person is actually male, like born with a penis, male. And so that really got me thinking about the two body types that they're really pushing for women and how this could actually help to further the LGBTQAI, specifically the transgender cause. So this is what I mean by that. So the two body types for women that are being pushed, and I feel like my body falls in the middle, as I feel like most women's body our bodies don't look like either of the two extremes. So the one extreme is like the really, really big, giant breasts, just ridiculously sized breasts, and the really, really huge butt. I feel like with most women, we either get like one or the other, or we get a generous dose of both, but we don't get like behemoth breasts and then like big retarded butts at the same time. But that kind of plastic look is what's portrayed. So they're very, like, everybody's butt's the same. Everybody got the same gummy bear implants kind of look, right? And then the second look is the wafy, really thin, more ambiguous woman, flat chest, flat butt, no hips. And so that's like the other look. And so these are the two extremes that the media portrays as ideals. So one ideal is like boom, boom, right? And the other ideal is like you're basically almost emaciated. So India falls into the first ideal, which is very little curves, almost non-existent breasts. And this shows that I have a level of conditioning too, because even though I noted that her body was underdeveloped, like I noted this, I was like, oh, she's got no shape. I was okay with it because I've been exposed to so many underdeveloped looking women. And this is no shade to women who are naturally thin. I'm just saying that your body type is being used against us. Do you know what I'm saying? I've been exposed to so many underdeveloped looking women that when I see a woman in media who's underdeveloped looking, I don't question it as being odd. So when I saw her, even though I noted that she was underdeveloped, the makeup, the hair, the obvious portrayal of her as a woman won over the fact that she didn't, you know what I mean? She's literally a man. Actually a man. And so this opens up like a whole new dialogue in my mind about Are we accepting of transgenders if they're very passable? If I can find it, I want to play a clip and insert it here of a transgender here on YouTube.
So from top to bottom, what I had done is the following. My hairline lowered, my eyebrows raised up a bit. I had a mini eyebrow lift. I also had a brow ridge shaving or reduction. So biological males have a ridge right here that is more prominent. But in males, it is a lot more pronounced. And also eyebrows are closer to the eyeball for biological males. So
essentially saying, like, if you buy the breasts and you have the hair and makeup, people will call you a girl. And it was so scary to hear him say that because he looks very feminine. And so here we have another one that looks very feminine. And I might throw in some pictures as I'm talking of a few others that are very passable as women. I am so glad I'm not a man in this world today. Like, I'm so, y'all just don't know. I'm so ecstatic I'm not a man in this world today. I feel so worried for my sons. You guys know I have like all boys and just 2 girls. I'm worried about my boys because in a world where men can go out and get hormones and get surgery, where body types where, you know, you either have so much plastic surgery, you're unrecognizable physically, or you're so, you know, boyish in body type that you approach somebody and you automatically don't recognize that they're an augmented person, be that augmented to be perceived as a woman or not. That is a dangerous environment to me. Like, y'all, that lightweight shakes me. It just really does. And what's so strange is that I also hear people who are so detached from what women look like that they have an expectation of women's bodies and they will critique women's bodies based on the plastic standard. So that these artificial women, right, these men portrayed as women, or women who, because let's be real, the makeup that women are doing now, like the 30 layers of makeup, again, no shade to women who wear that much makeup, but y'all, that used to be drag queen makeup. That used to be when men portrayed women, that they would overpout on makeup to look like us. And now women do that makeup. Now women wear like the same wigs and the same makeup styles as the men who used to pretend to be us. And so we've effectively somehow closed the gap between a man dressed as a woman and a woman who is just a woman with a little bit of extra makeup and a wig or something.
Gender is a social construct, but so is race. Not like you're doing us a favor because you're flicking your nose, essentially, at an entire demographic of people.
It's something that we have always been able to do because we understand the experience of a woman. I've played cis roles before, you know, but I haven't played that.
We're telling you we are not okay with this. And we're more than capable of not only telling our own stories, but, I mean, what is a cis role? You know what I mean? Like, what we are conceptualizing as cis roles is like just somebody playing a role and telling a story that has nothing to do with their gender being dissected.
Like, it's scary, right? Because in a way, ladies, like, we're contributing to this. We're contributing to them being able to pass as us. To the point where, like, I was, just to digress to what I was saying, natural female features are considered abnormal. So, you know, if you don't have a 20-inch waist and 40-inch hips, that's considered abnormal, right? If your waist is 30 inches, that's like a big waist to people. If you're not super, super skinny, but then somehow also have big breasts, or if you know, have the breasts of a 12-year-old, you know, I know women who have little breasts, but then the rest of their bodies normally are still pretty womanly. But the whole idea of just being emaciated across the board and then having 2 little like balls on your chest, like that look is unnatural. Normally when you have a low body fat like that, most times you're not going to have like 2 round, perfect breasts sitting on your chest. And so we've really contributed through plastic surgery and makeup and all of this to to the ability for other men to fool men into believing that they are us, which is what happened in this commercial. And it's like so creepy to me, guys. I can't even lie. It really is. You know, you think of a woman who has natural like D, E, F cup breasts, right? Like extra large breasts. And people expect that they're going to be sitting like way up here. And if they're not way up there, then it's abnormal because they're so used to seeing fake ones that way. And real ones don't commonly come in that size. You don't normally walk outside and all the women have F cups. You know, that's not a normal thing. You don't walk outside and all the women have naturally huge giant butts and teeny tiny waists. Most women fall in the middle of those things, but I feel like with these extremes being put out there, the super wafy thin ones, the ridiculously breasted big butted ones, that now we have full on men who are able to gravitate to these artificial extremes, these abnormal extremes, and infiltrate and perpetuate themselves as women. And y'all, as you look at these pictures, are you attracted to these people, men? And if you are, like, think of how scary that is. Think of how scary that is. As a heterosexual man, to have other men able to modify their bodies as such, and to have your mental palate conditioned in such a way that you could see an actual man who has the same penis and balls as you, whether they have been, flipped up. I have a video on this. They take the penis and they turn it inside out to make a fake vagina. So the penis is still there. It's just like inverted. Whether they do that or not, like, that's a man. Is it not disturbing that some of them look so much like women? Like, I'm literally shook. So in the Calvin Klein ad, it's even more racist than we thought, because there were 3 black men in that ad and 2 of them were gay. One of them was a black man portraying a woman. One of them was a gay black man. One of them was portrayed basically as the devil in a room full of flames. And then the black woman was desexualized to mammy status in that commercial. And I wish I would have understood it with that depth when I watched it. But y'all, I was fooled by a transgender. Like, I was fooled by a transgender. I'm like mad uncomfortable with it. I really am. And with that said, I'll talk to you guys later.
If you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell. And if you want to support my content, feel free to join my Patreon.